Okay, so today I'm going to be making gingerbread, and right now I'm in my kitchen. So what I have right in front of me is the ingredients that you'll be needing for the gingerbread. So I'm going to be trying to make mine a little bit more healthier. I have 1 egg in the bowl, already beat it together, and then what you'll need to do next is I've measured out, you'll need to add either a half a cup of butter, or you can use oil. So I have olive oil, and I also have a cup of molasses that I've pre-measured out. So you'll go ahead and put that in there, and okay, so you're going to go ahead and mix together those wet ingredients, and then the next thing you'll want to do is you're going to want to, you can use either ground ginger, which I actually have some in my cabinet, but I would prefer to have the fresh ginger, because why not, you know, fresh ginger. I just went ahead and I ground some, well, not ground, but I grated some, and I have about, it's about probably almost 2.5 tablespoons in this other bowl that I just grated. And so yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and add in more of the ingredients. Okay, so this is pretty much the recipe that I'm kind of going about. I'm going to be modifying some ingredients like sugar, and instead of the butter, I'm using olive oil. I'm using the egg and the molasses like it says, but then on flour, I'm using just flour. The flour I'm using is actually an organic flour, which makes it somewhat healthier. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, I'm using the flour, I'm using some whole grain oats. I actually grabbed this one by accident. I meant to grab the old-fashioned oats, but whatever. Yeah, so got the baking soda and cinnamon. The thing about the cinnamon is actually my dad's been doing some research, and he found out that this is one of the more healthier kinds of cinnamon. This one's organic, actually, I noticed, and I think he ordered this one online, like on Amazon or something like that, but apparently there's cinnamon that's out there that's normally used, the regular cinnamon you'd pick up, but I guess it's not healthy according to his research. He's been researching it like in his spare time, so yeah, thought that was interesting. Some other things you could put in there, I'm not sure if I'll use it, but I've got some agave, and another thing that I put in was I put a 1 teaspoon of stevia. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how much. I might be putting some sugar. I do have some brown sugar here, so I'm okay with putting some of this in there. It makes it taste good. And the other things I'm going to be putting in there are I have sea salt here, and this is the olive oil that I used. It's organic, actually, I guess. So the recipe doesn't actually call for vanilla, but vanilla makes so many of the recipes really good, so I'm thinking of putting this one in there too. And it calls for a cup of water and 2 tablespoons, and cloves. And if you don't have cloves, I realized when I was looking at the recipes, I looked at several different recipes, and apparently I think you could probably figure out how to put some pumpkin pie spice because this has several of the ingredients. You know, it has cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, allspice, mace, and cloves. So cloves, ginger, and cinnamon, those ones are in these types of recipes. And I also saw some of the recipes online and they had the nutmeg and the allspice, not the mace. I didn't see mace in there. I guess that's some sort of spice. So yeah, so in this bowl I have the dry ingredients, I have the wet ingredients here minus the water, which I'll be adding when I mix it all together. And I've got my fresh ginger in here, so I'm going to go ahead and mix them all together. Okay, so that I've actually mixed together everything, and I noticed something. This looks like it is pretty moist, so I would modify the water to about maybe 3/4 cup, but I don't know, I might end up using that water still after I add some brown sugar or something to sweeten it, so I'll have to see. I'm going to have to add something to sweeten it more. Gotta check on it. Okay, actually I just tried it, and I paused the camera and I tried it, and it tastes, I think, pretty sweet. Stevia is more concentrated than, say, things like sugar or, you know, this agave nectar. So I'm gonna go ahead, and what you'll need to do is you'll need to either grease or you could do different things. You can grease it or oil just the bottom of the pan, not the sides, because you want it to be able to rise, go up the sides. So yeah, or at least I want mine to rise. And then you'll want to start preheating your oven, if you haven't already, to 350 degrees. I would have done it sooner if I thought I needed that time, but I didn't think I would need the time, so yeah, so it's at 350. Okay, so I went ahead and I put that into the pan. I actually did a taste test before I put it in, and I ended up adding a couple dashes of the pumpkin spice or pumpkin pie spice, and because I like the way it tastes, even though the recipe doesn't call for it. And I also added a teaspoon of vanilla. So I've got the oven on. I realized it wasn't on bake, it was only the temperature was on. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the oven, and it will need to bake for an hour. So, you know, if you have a timer or something like that, I have a timer on this oven, so I set the timer. That way, you know, when it goes off, I can go check it. But usually I end up checking it a couple times anyways. So, yeah. And another thing, at least about the oven that I have, is it has a light, so you can actually take a look while it's baking. You can't actually see it too well. You can kind of see, yeah, you can kind of see sometimes it's actually a darker batter for the bread or cake, so you can't see it too well right now. But yeah, it's gonna bake for an hour at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So while that's baking, you know, you might want to just put away all your ingredients and you know, get things that you just used into the sink. It's good to fill the sink with like hot water, so that way you can have things soak and get things clean faster and easier. That's what I've found. And another thing is I'm actually wearing like this apron that my brother got me. It's like, it's kind of cute. But yeah, he got me it for Christmas. An apron is very good, so that way, you know, you're baking, you might splash something or get some flour or something like that on yourself. So that's really helpful to have an apron on. That way, just in case, it's not gonna, you can just take the apron off after. You can wash it if you need to, and at least you don't have it on your clothes. But yeah, things can really be staining sometimes. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and bake that, and we'll see how it turns out. It already tastes really good, so I'm sure it'll be good. I pulled up this recipe from online, so I haven't actually baked with it before, and also I modified some of the ingredients. I've taken some baking classes in the past, just like in high school and junior high school. And I've always done baking when I was younger, before that anyway, so I think these changes in the recipe are just fine. But yeah, I showed you the recipe, so if you wanted to follow the recipe that I pulled up online, you could. But yeah, it should be really good. So if you try it, let me know if you liked it, or if you made any modifications to it, or any tips or thoughts you may have, comments. Go ahead, leave them, and I'll get back to you. All right, well, have a good day.